Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the first update for You Panned My Battleship. I'm doing this with my friend Martina and her Instagram will be linked down below because she is doing this over on Instagram. We're both working on one BH cosmetic palette each. I'm working on the Blueberry Muffin and she's working on the Passion in Paris palette. But I will jump into the video and show you where I am with my palette. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's just jump into the palettes. So like I said, my palette is the Blueberry Muffin palette and we are both working on, or we both placed basically 1 2, 1 3 and 1 4 on our palettes. And if you want to check where I put Martina's chips, then you can check out my introduction video because I won't share this in this specific video because I don't want Martina to have to click out again. But I have no idea where she put my chips. I have maybe some clues, but I'm gonna get into that later on. But first of all, I'm gonna show you what my palette looked like at an introduction. I had only used it once, which was in my introduction video, so it didn't have very much use. And this is what this palette is looking like now. So it's really difficult to show this because of the packaging, because it's very kind of reflective and holographic, but hopefully you can pick up there that I did actually hit 1 pan in this palette in the past month. So let's just start with that shade. I'm gonna go through every shade afterwards, but I'm gonna start with this one because I did hit pan on this. So this is the shade Sugared, and this one I used 14 times before hitting pan on it. And unfortunately it was a miss. I kind of suspected this would be a miss because it is a really easy everyday shade, and that's kind of why I hit pan on it so fast, because I use this every single day. It's in the corner highlight until I hit pan on it. And yeah, that's just how I used this. So I didn't really think Martina would have put a chip on this eyeshadow because it is more of a give me shade. So yeah, I wasn't suspecting that, but I still wanted to work on it and it was an easy one to incorporate every single day. So after going through that, I'm going to go through now every shade in order because I don't have any more pans obviously, and then I'm going to talk through my strategy at the end of this video. So we're going to start with the first shade here, which is Sweet. I have used this 7 times and as you can see I do have a bit of a dip in the shade. I do think I'm still quite far away from pan. I think it's probably going to take me at least another 7 uses because looking at the pan I have in Sugared, I still have quite a way to go before I hit that pan. So I have used that 7 times like I said. And also just briefly, I have used every single shade in this palette, and that was kind of like a mini goal that I had for myself. I don't know if I mentioned it in the introduction video, but it was like a mental goal that I had, and I have done that. So the next shade is Sheet Day, which is this kind of periwinkle shade right here, and I have used this twice. I don't know if you can see, but there's literally like no dip at all in the shade. I realized the matte in this eyeshadow palette is very hard pressed, and I feel like those are the ones that are going to give me a bit of a struggle. So if you were smart, Martina, you'd probably put a lot of chips on the matte. I never used BH Cosmetic before this palette, so I didn't really know where to put her chips and how hard pressed the matte would be. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I did put some on the matte, maybe I didn't. You guys know, but Martina doesn't know. But I think the mattes are definitely going to be, at least for me, the ones that give me struggle. And like I said, I've used Sheet Day twice. Next up in the palette we have another shimmer, and this is Crumble. I do have a little bit of a disturbance in the pan. I wouldn't really say I have a dip or anything. It does look like more of a dip on camera, but I think that's just how the light hits it, but I don't really have much use on this one. I think the kind of shimmer shades, like she might have a chip on maybe one of these, but I don't think she will have it on all of them. So we'll just have to see. But I think I'm not going to try to focus too much on the light kind of more neutral tone shades, unless like I reach for them more organically like I have been. I haven't really been focusing on these shades. It's just shades that I've been going with the kind of looks I've been making. Next up we have the shade Decadent, which is this one here, which is another one I used 3 times. Again, I don't know if you can see much of a dip. I can see a little bit more of a disturbance in this one rather than Sheet Day, but I think that's because I use more of a dense brush, and yeah, it's still gonna take a super long time, so this one is definitely one that I will have to put a lot of effort into. Moving on to the second row, obviously I said I used this one 14 times and it was a miss, but I do have a pan in there now. The next shade here, which is Cravings, I used 8 times, and I think that's probably the one that I have been using most now after I hit pan on Sugared. I think I have probably an equal dip in Cravings and Sweet, but Cravings I mainly use as an inner corner highlight, and I use more of a specific brush, but I have use less of the product, I think, rather than sweet, because in sweets I do use it more on my lid or kind of in the third of my lid. But yeah, that is Cravings. I think I will surely be able to pan on this one as well. I don't know if I will do that in the next month, but I don't think that's going to be a struggle, although I'm not sure it's going to be a ship on there, and again I will talk about my strategies at the end of this video. Next up we have the shade Treat, which is one that I wasn't really sure how to use because it is more of a grey tone, but I think it's actually one of the mattes that I have used the most in this palette, and I have reached for this 4 times. I really enjoy this with a few kind of more cool tone looks, and I think it's also one of the mattes that I have the biggest dip in, together with this one here, which I will get to in a second. But I am actually really enjoying this shade, which I wasn't expecting, and I think that's probably going to be one of the matte shades that I might be able to pan on first. The other one that I might be able to pan on first out of the mattes is the shade 350 Degrees right here. This one I used 5 times, so 1 time more than this one, but it's very pigmented, so I don't really very much of it when I use it. So yeah, but I do definitely see a little bit of disturbance in there, but it's gonna take me quite a long time to pan. I think these mattes are probably gonna take me around like 25 uses probably to pan on. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but I think I can get there eventually. Moving on to the third row, we had the shade So Good. This one I used twice. It's more of a cobalt blue shade, and it's a nice shade, but again I think it's going to be one like it's going to give me a little bit of a hard time. But yeah, I have used it twice at least, so that is a start. Next up we have a shade that has actually really surprised me, and that is the shade Tempting right here. I've used this 5 times, and you can definitely see that I have a bit of a dip in the shade, and I think that's going to be my next focus shade to pan on, because I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a ship there, but I do have my suspicions. So that is going to be my next focus shade, I believe, for the next month, and I'm going to try to pan on this. But yeah, I do have 5 uses on this in total, and I think why I have such a dip in this already compared to these two, which I've already used 7 to 8 times, is because I use this all over my lid or in a larger area every time I use it, and it's a beautiful shade that has a slight shift to it as well, so it is beautiful, and I'm going to continue reaching for that, and hopefully I pan on that by next updates. Next up we have the shade Yummy, which is this one here. I've only used this once, so my memory is full on my camera, so I had to clear that a bit, so if the angle has changed, you know why. But yeah, Yummy it's a beautiful shade, but I just haven't done many of these kind of purpley looks recently. I feel like this is definitely one that I will reach for more, but yeah, it's I haven't gotten there yet, but it's an absolutely stunning shade, and it's actually one of my favorite shades in this palette. So eventually I will try to pan on this, but I don't think it's going to be in the upcoming month. Next up we have the shade Baker's Dozen right here, and you can see that I have a bit of a, not a dip, but a disturbance in this pan, but I only used it twice. But the 2 times that I have used this as a liner, and what I've been doing is I've been scraping a tiny bit off onto my basically a mixing plate, and I've been mixing it with Duraline to use as a liquid eyeliner. So that's what I've done, but it also means that I do get quite a distinctive dip in the middle. Again, I don't know how much you can pick up because the palette is so reflective, but at least I do have a little bit of a dip in this shade. For the next row right here, we have used Hot and Fresh twice. I'm actually wearing this shade today on my inner corner, and I have been having like a mini goal to use one of these shades every single day, and I think I've done pretty well with that. I think I've used a lot of these shades on an everyday basis, which is good. A lot of times used an inner corner highlight, which is how I've been using Hot and Fresh, Sugared, Cravings, I think even Crumble as well. So a lot of these shades work as an inner corner highlight for me. Some of them are borderline too deep, but they still do work. So that's how I use Hot and Fresh today, and I think that's probably going to be how I continue using it, because I was worried it was going to be too deep, but as you can see hopefully on my eyes, it does work as an inner corner highlight. Next up we have Delish, which is this one here. I have used this twice, which is on par with the rest of the blues in the palette. Definitely another one that I will have to put a lot of work into. Next up we have Fluffy, which is one that I have used 5 times. It's actually a really nice peachy shade that I think I can incorporate into a lot of looks, and I do have a little bit of a disturbance in this pan as well, so it's going to be one that I'm going to focus in on as well when it comes to the mattes. And then lastly we have the shade Stud Muffin down here, which I've used twice. I've used it once on my eyes and then once as a nail polish. I think I might have worn that in a couple of videos, or at least maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, I did use this as a nail polish, so you can see that there is a little bit of a dip in here because of that, because you do use more product that way. So that is the palette and where I am with all of the shades. Let's move on to talking a bit more about my strategy. So when it comes to my strategy, I again don't really have any exact clue where all of the chips are, but hitting pan on sugared kind of just confirmed a few thoughts that I had, because there wasn't a hit here. And the first thing that I'm pretty sure about is that there's going to be a ship here. I don't know if this is the 4 or if it's divided into several ships, or if all of those shades are in ships, but I'm pretty sure that Martina is smart enough to put the ships here, because it's a lot of deep shades. I don't really use these deep shades very much, so I think there might be something there. I think also there might be a ship here, because there are 2 blues, and blues is something that you can't really wear every single day. So I think to try to confirm that, I'm going to try to pan on Tempting in the next month, just to see if there is a ship here. It might even be a 4 here, don't know, but I think there should be like maybe a ship right here, or possibly even down here. But I'm going to try to pan on Tempting to know if I should continue working on those shades. So that's going to be my kind of second guess. I have no idea where the 3er would be. Possibly this would be a 3er here, or maybe like up here somewhere, but I think there should maybe a ship on one of these mats, but I don't know. But I think what I'm going to start doing is, like I said, I'm going to try to focus in on Tempting right here, and then I'm going to continue working away on this right row of the palettes there, because I do think there should be at least one ship on those shades. So that is my plan. When it comes to these ones here, I don't know which one I should be able to focus in most on. Possibly actually Stud Muffin, because it is a shimmer, although it's very, very deep, and I wouldn't really use this on my eyes because it doesn't really have the same shine as I prefer. This one is basically a matte with glitter, but I can continue using this as an eyeliner, and I might do that to try to pan. So those 2 might be my best bets, although I do incorporate these in more looks. But I feel like in the way I use these, I might be able to pan on Stud Muffin or Baker's Dozen first. But that is it for this update. Please go and check out Martina and her post. I'm not sure if she will post today, but I feel like if she doesn't post today, it will be up in the next couple of days. But yeah, that is it. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and otherwise I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.